For millennia, humanity's story was ephemeral, whispered on the wind, passed down through generations in a fragile chain of memory. It was a world lit only by the fires of the present moment, with the past a realm of myth and the future an unwritten page. But then, something extraordinary happened, a revolution not of stone or bronze, but of thought itself. Humans discovered a way to capture language, to give fleeting sounds a physical form, etching them into clay and stone for eternity. This was the birth of writing, a monumental turning point that forever altered the course of our species. It allowed for the creation of laws, the recording of history, the sharing of complex ideas across vast distances, and most remarkably, across the chasm of time itself. With this newfound power, civilizations could build upon the knowledge of their ancestors, creating empires, philosophies, and technologies that would have been unimaginable before. The spoken word could now travel silently, carrying messages from a king to his generals, a merchant to his partners, or a poet to a future world. It was the moment humanity began to create an external memory, a collective consciousness that would grow and evolve with every new mark made. The ability to record our thoughts laid the very foundations for the complex societies we live in today. In our journey together, we will travel back to the very dawn of this revolution. We will explore the cradles of civilization, where these first tentative marks were made. We will seek to understand the minds that conceived them and the worlds they describe. We will delve into some of the most ancient and influential writing systems known to us, each a unique window into the soul of a bygone era. From the wetlands of Mesopotamia to the riverbanks of the Nile and beyond, we will witness how these ancient scripts unlock the potential of the human mind and set us on the path to the modern world. Our story begins here, in the fertile crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, a land the ancient Greeks called Mesopotamia. It was in this cradle of civilization, amongst the Sumerian people some 5,000 years ago, that the first true writing system emerged. It was not born from a desire for poetry or philosophy, but from a much more practical need, accountancy. As cities like Uruk grew in complexity, so too did their economies. Temple administrators needed a reliable way to keep track of grain, livestock, and goods. Their solution was ingenious and would change the world forever. Initially, they used simple pictograms, small drawings representing the objects themselves. A picture of a head of barley meant a measure of barley. But this was cumbersome. A true breakthrough occurred when they began to use symbols to represent not just objects, but sounds, the phonetic components of their spoken language. This abstract leap was revolutionary. It allowed for the expression of complex ideas, names, and actions that could not be simply drawn. The script evolved, the pictograms becoming more stylized and abstract, shaped by the tools at hand. The Sumerians wrote on what they had in abundance: clay. Using a reed stylus, they would press wedge-shaped marks into soft clay tablets. When baked in the sun or fired in a kiln, these tablets became remarkably durable records. The distinctive shape of the impressions gives the script its modern name, cuneiform, from the Latin cuneus, meaning wedge. For thousands of years, this intricate system of wedges would be the dominant script of the ancient Near East, a testament to the ingenuity of its creators. These clay tablets were not merely ledgers. They became the vessels for humanity's first great literary work, the Epic of Gilgamesh. They recorded laws, like the famous Code of Hammurabi, and detailed astronomical observations that were astonishingly accurate. They captured the hymns, the myths, and the daily lives of a people long since vanished. In these humble, wedge-shaped marks, we find the very beginnings of history, law, literature, and science, all preserved in baked earth. As cuneiform was taking shape in Mesopotamia, another great civilization along the banks of the Nile was developing its own, utterly distinct form of writing. This was a script of breathtaking beauty and profound mystique, the Egyptian hieroglyphs. The name itself, from the Greek hieros for sacred and glypho for carvings, speaks to its primary function. This was not the script of merchants and bookkeepers, but of pharaohs, priests, and the gods themselves. It was designed to be monumental, to be carved into the stone of temples and tombs, a permanent and sacred testament to eternity. The hieroglyphic system is a complex and elegant mixture of elements. Some signs are logographic, representing an entire word or idea, much like the early Sumerian pictograms. An image of a sun disk could mean sun or day. Others are phonetic, representing one or more consonant sounds, forming the building blocks of words. And a third category, determinatives, were silent signs placed at the end of a word to clarify its meaning, indicating if a word referred to a god, a person, or an abstract concept, a vital clue for the reader. For nearly 3,500 years, these sacred carvings adorned the monuments of Egypt. They told the stories of the pharaoh's divine right to rule, their military victories, and their journeys into the afterlife. They inscribed the prayers and spells for the Book of the Dead, intended to guide the deceased soul through the perilous underworld. The very act of writing and the knowledge of the script itself were considered powerful and magical, a skill largely restricted to a small elite class of scribes who spent years mastering its intricate forms. But for all their monumental purpose, the Egyptians also developed more practical cursive scripts for everyday use. Hieratic and later demotic were simplified flowing versions of the hieroglyphs, written with reed pens and ink on papyrus. These were the scripts of letters, legal documents, and literature. Yet it is the majestic hieroglyphs, so intimately tied to the Egyptian vision of cosmic order and eternal life, that have captured the human imagination for millennia, silent witnesses to a civilization that believed its words could truly conquer death. Far to the east, along the fertile plains of the Yellow River, another great civilization was taking its first steps in the world of writing. During the late Shang dynasty, around 1250 BCE, a unique and powerful script emerged. Not on clay or papyrus, but on bone and shell. This is the oracle bone script, the earliest confirmed form of Chinese writing and the direct ancestor of the characters used by over 1 billion people today. Its purpose was not administrative or monumental, but divinatory. It was a method for communicating with the spirit world. The Shang kings were deeply concerned with the will of their ancestors and deities. To seek guidance, they would engage in a form of pyromancy. A question, perhaps about the outcome of a battle, the success of the harvest, or the health of the royal family, would be meticulously carved onto a turtle plastron or an ox scapula. The diviner would then apply a hot poker to the bone, causing it to crack under the heat. The king or a specialist diviner would interpret the patterns of these cracks to discern the answer from the spirit realm. What is remarkable for us is that the scribes would often record not just the question, but also the interpretation of the cracks, and sometimes even the eventual outcome. These inscribed bones provide an unparalleled snapshot into the concerns and beliefs of the Shang elite. They are a royal archive of divination, detailing military campaigns, royal births, illnesses, and even the king's toothaches. The script itself is beautifully pictographic, with many characters being clear, though stylized, drawings of the objects they represent. This direct lineage from ancient pictograph to modern character is a unique feature of the Chinese writing system. While cuneiform and hieroglyphs have long fallen silent, the oracle bone script lives on. Over millennia, the characters have evolved, becoming more abstract and stylized. But the fundamental principles and many of the forms remain recognizable. To look upon these ancient inscriptions is to see the very genesis of one of the world's great literary and cultural traditions, a conversation with the ancestors that has never truly ended. Along the coastal strip of the Levant, in what is now modern Lebanon, lived a remarkable people. The Phoenicians were not conquerors of land, but masters of the sea. They were merchants, sailors, and traders who established a vast network across the Mediterranean. As they traveled, they needed a writing system that was simple, efficient, and easy to learn, something far more practical than the complex systems of Mesopotamia and Egypt. What they developed, around 1050 BCE, was a stroke of pure genius that would democratize writing and change the world. The Phoenicians did not invent the idea of using symbols for sounds. The Egyptians and others had done that. Their innovation was to discard everything else. They created a system that was purely phonetic, consisting of just 22 symbols, and crucially, each symbol represented a single consonant sound. There were no logograms for whole words, no complex determinatives. It was a simple, elegant, and incredibly efficient alphabet. A trader could learn it in a matter of weeks, rather than the years it took to master cuneiform or hieroglyphs. This simplicity was its power. Phoenician merchants carried their alphabet with them on their voyages, from the shores of the Levant to the coasts of North Africa, Spain, and Italy. It was a tool of commerce, used to record deals, track shipments, and write contracts. Unlike the sacred or royal scripts of other cultures, the Phoenician alphabet was a practical tool for ordinary people. It broke the monopoly on literacy held by scribal elites and put the power of writing into the hands of a much broader population. It is almost impossible to overstate the importance of this development. The Phoenician alphabet became the parent of nearly all modern alphabets. The ancient Greeks would adopt it, adding vowels to suit their own language. The Etruscans in Italy would adapt it, passing it on to the Romans, who would develop the Latin alphabet we use to write English today. The Aramaic script, also derived from Phoenician, would become the ancestor of the modern Arabic and Hebrew alphabets. This small group of seafaring traders gave the world one of its most powerful and enduring gifts: The journey of our Phoenician alphabet now takes us across the Aegean Sea to the rocky shores and islands of Greece. Sometime around the 8th century BCE, Greek traders, encountering their Phoenician counterparts, recognized the immense potential of their simple writing system. They adopted the Phoenician alphabet, but they also adapted it in a way that was both subtle and profoundly significant. The Phoenician script, like many Semitic systems, recorded only consonants. The reader was expected to supply the appropriate vowel sounds from their knowledge of the language. The Greeks, however, found this unsuitable for their own tongue, which relied heavily on vowels to distinguish words. Their solution was brilliantly creative. They took several Phoenician consonant symbols for which they had no corresponding sound in Greek, and repurposed them to represent vowel sounds. The Phoenician letter Aleph became the Greek Alpha. He became Epsilon. Ayin became Omicron. For the first time in history, a writing system existed that gave equal representation to both consonants and vowels. This was the world's first true alphabet. This seemingly small technical adjustment had enormous consequences. It created a script that could represent the nuances of spoken language with unprecedented accuracy. The written word could now capture the rhythm of poetry, the precision of philosophical argument, and the drama of the stage. This new tool helped to fuel an explosion of intellectual and artistic creativity. It was the script of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, of the philosophical inquiries of Plato and Aristotle, and the historical accounts of Herodotus and Thucydides. The clarity and precision of the Greek alphabet laid the foundation for Western literature, science, and philosophy. It allowed for the formulation of complex mathematical proofs and the recording of detailed democratic laws. The ability to record thoughts so faithfully empowered a culture of analysis, debate, and criticism that has echoed through the centuries. From the epic poems recited in ancient halls to the foundational texts of Western thought, the Greek script gave a clear and enduring voice to one of the most influential civilizations in human history. From the wedge-shaped marks in Mesopotamian clay to the elegant alphabet of the Greeks, the invention of writing represents one of humanity's greatest intellectual leaps. Each of these ancient scripts was more than just a tool for communication. It was a mirror reflecting the society that created it. Cuneiform reveals a world concerned with order and administration. Hieroglyphs show us a civilization obsessed with eternity and the divine. The oracle bones speak of a deep desire to commune with the spirit world, while the Phoenician and Greek alphabets tell a story of pragmatism, trade, and the blossoming of rational thought. These systems allowed us to build cities, create laws, and preserve our collective memory. They are the foundational pillars upon which our modern world of information is built. Every book we read, every email we send, every line of code that powers our digital lives is part of an unbroken thread that stretches back thousands of years to these first revolutionary acts of inscription. The ability to write and read is a power we so often take for granted, yet it is this very power that has allowed our species to share knowledge across continents and generations, to build on the discoveries of those who came before us, and to create the complex global society we inhabit today. The story of writing is the story of civilization itself. It is a testament to the enduring human quest to understand our world, to connect with one another, and to leave a mark that will outlast our own fleeting existence. These ancient scripts are not merely historical curiosities. They are the voices of our ancestors, speaking to us across the millennia. I am curious to know which of these remarkable systems you found the most captivating. Was it the sacred beauty of the hieroglyphs, or the democratic simplicity of the first alphabet? Please share your thoughts in the comments below.